Hi, this is Blake Angelos from Yamaha Corporation America, here with MONTAGE OS version 2.0. This is our fourth major release of the MONTAGE OS. In each version we add some pretty significant enhancements to sound, control, and workflow. This version is no different. Some of the coolest things in sound comes with the total compatibility with MOTIF XS, XF, and MOXF performances now. The MOTIF XF voices were already in Montage from the beginning, and they appeared as single part performances. Now we have the ability to bring in the 4-part performances from the MOTIF XS, XF, and MOXF. They load right in, and it's really cool what you can do with this content. You can do things with the motion control, with the motion sequencer, or with the envelope follower, or with assigning things to the super knob to really bring some new life to these performances. And since they're 4 parts, you have an additional 4 parts in Montage to add things like additional parts or even FMX voices. So check this out. One of the things I love about playing these MOTIF performances in Montage is listening them through the better D to A converters of Montage and just the better system, the better DSP. You can do some really cool things with these. So let's take some of this and add some of the motion control to one of these performances. This is kind of a cool little performance called Meeting Point. So as this performance, check out what I can do to montageify it. So I'll take part 3, and that's where kind of a cool arpeggio is happening. One of the things I love about using these performances in Montage is bringing some of the motion control system onto some of these parts in this performance. And OS 2.0 gives you some great shortcuts to get to super knob assignments. Check this out. This is very cool. So I've selected part 3 here. Now I've dropped into edit mode on that part, and I've selected the cutoff frequency of the filter. Whenever you select any parameter that can be assigned to any of the physical controls on Montage, the control assign lights up. So by touching that control, a screen pops up that says destination parameter part 3 cutoff. I can move any parameter at this point. So I'll go ahead and choose the super knob, and now that's been assigned to filter. So if I unmute the rest of the parts, you can hear the filter sweeping. So that's pretty cool. Being able to assign these that fast is a great new addition to Montage OS version 2.0. And the thing I love about this particular performance is in the MOTIF, this was 4 parts and I would be done. In the Montage, I have an additional 4 parts. So if I feel like I want to add a cool drum groove, that's really easy to do. I just touch the screen on the part, select a drum part, and since the arpeggio is on, these drums all have arpeggios that can come with them. So I'll grab something cool like maybe this electro kit and see what happens now. So building performances that are really cool is very easy using this content. If you think about it, with the FM converter app that we have at Yamaha Synth that can take DX7 voices and convert them to Montage format, you have access to arguably the largest sound library on the planet for any synthesizer. It's pretty cool. Speaking of usability and just getting to things, there's some really cool things about, again, assigning the super knob to do what you want it to do. One of the new voices that we've added to Montage is the CFX Stage single part. This is a great piano, and it all happens on one part. So I have an additional 7 parts to add whatever I want, if I want to add a bass or a split. But the layer is the cool thing. A lot of musicians, worship musicians, live musicians, want to be able to use the super knob to maybe bring in things like a string section or a choir, and they want to use the FC7 that's attached, that controls the super knob, to bring that in. So they don't have to lift their hands off the keyboard to move something like a fader in order to bring that in. So I'll show you how easy it is to assign those parameters to the super knob using this single part CFX piano. So the first thing I want to do is just add a string sound. So I touch on part 2 and it brings me the category search. So I will now select a string sound and I'll call this ballad strings. So I have now 2 parts, strings and piano, and you can hear them here. But I want to take this sound and now route it to the super knob. So as you can see in the screen above, I'll go ahead and hit edit. And this is a pretty easy parameter find. It's the main part setting, and it's just the volume control that I want. Now again, as soon as I touch that parameter, the control assign lights up right here, meaning that it's an active parameter that can be assigned to a controller. So I'll turn that volume all the way down, touch control assign, and simply move the super knob. Now, it tells me in the top of the screen exactly what was done at the top level of the performance and at the part level simultaneously. Before I had to do 2 things to do this. Now I can just assign it right away. So now you hear the super knob, I play my piano, and then I move the super knob with the FC7. So I can fade those in and out. That's a very cool feature. It's easy to do. If I want to go home, all I have to do is touch the performance home. I'm right back at the main performance right here. So let's say I want to add maybe a choir to this, and I want the choir to be silent, come in, and then fade out. I can add another motion to do that. So I'll go ahead and touch the add, go to pad choir, or I can just simply, I know that it's the OO choir one. I can just touch the text-based search and type in OO, and there's OO choir. Again, I hit edit. Now as you can see in the screen, same thing. Part settings, volume control, the control assign lights up, touch control assign, move the super knob. Now with this one, I want to change the motion that I'm using. Right now, this is just a linear standard curve. It gets louder or gets softer as I turn the super knob. If I touch the curve type and go to the trapezoid curves, this one is an up-down style curve. So if I touch this one now, I have it all set up to just piano. Now as I move the super knob, the choir comes in and the strings come in too. As I move it all the way to the top, you hear the choir fade out, and now all I have, I'll go back. And just piano again. Very fast to assign these controls. And it just goes on from there. Since you have up to 16 control assignments per part, this can get pretty deep what you can do. It's a very cool feature that we've added to OS version 2.0. Just, it's easier to use Montage and it's easier to do the things you want to do for your music. So here's another MOTIF XF performance that I loved playing in the instrument. This is called Winds and Strings. So there's the performance. Now, there's other performances in Montage that are fully realized with the super knob, and the one that I like to use is one that's called Orchestral Brass Swell. So with Orchestral Brass Swell, this one's just amazing. It just gets huge as you move the super knob. again, a super expressive performance. Now I want to combine the two, and that's a great thing to be able to do. I touch the part I want, which is part 4, and I go, and I'm just going to search winds in the text search, and there's winds and strings. So now I've combined these two performances. I start with orchestral brass swell, I add the winds and strings. So the winds and strings with the super knob all the way down are pretty much all you hear, but then I can bring up the brass section. Now the great thing is I have 7 parts filled up. I want to add an 8th part. That 8th part could be something like a timpani. So I type in timpani, and there's my timpani right here. Now this is something that we added in a previous OS, this new cool view. This was added in 1.5. And what this allows me to do is look at parts 1 through 4 and parts 5 through 8, and if there was 9 through 12, or 13 through 16. They're not in here though, but I can see them all in front of me. So I've selected that last part I just added, the timpani, and there is now a key range and there's a velocity range. So with the velocity range, I can touch it, touch the keyboard and set the velocity for when I want to engage that timpani. So I've just set it. Very simple to do. Now if I take my reverb send, and that's just with these great controls, I have a reverb send just for that part. I'll turn that all the way up, so I have a big reverb. Now when I play this performance, winds and strings, orchestral swell, and a big timpani when I really hit it hard. Check this out. So with MONTAGE OS 2.0, with the addition of the compatibility with MOTIF XF performances, adding some of these great montage performances, and then just adding parts, assigning controllers, it's never been easier to really experience a lot of great music with the MONTAGE music synthesizer.